People are allowed to be.
Excuse me, I'm speaking. Do not interrupt a black trans woman when she's speaking.
You've interrupted me hella times.
When it comes to isms.
Did the interrupter just say use her skin tone to say you could interrupt her?
If you are black and
That's
trans
amazing.
and you want to go into the military, I am quite sure that my experience would not look the same as y'all's. And if we can't wake that up, then we're really being complicit.
They don't look at your race.
I don't think your skin tone makes any difference.
Well, yes, it does.
As somebody who's
for you to tell a black person that is so problematic. For you to tell a person of color here, because I am. This is my experience and this is my reality. First of all, that is so disrespectful to tell a person of color, a black person, how they should feel. How dare you sit up here and say no?
Being a non-binary person that sometimes has the choice to either go into a men's restroom looking like this. You can look at me looking like this.
It's just interesting. I thought this was a trans debate. That's what I thought.
Non-binary people.
Non-binary people fall under the trans umbrella. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe you could educate yourself.
And so we shall go to war.
So today I wanted to take a look at this Jubilee debate, putting liberal and conservatives against each other regarding various transgenderism topics. I don't know, I found it pretty interesting. There's one person in particular I found just completely fucking revolting. Given how much y'all love to see me, dunk on some narcissist, I figured this could be fun. So yeah, let's just jump into it, shall we? Let's get it.
It is a safety concern for trans women to share a female restroom.
All right, so right off the rip, we have kind of a good talking point here. I think this is going on. People are talking about this a lot, and I'll just give my 2 cents quick so you guys kind of know where I stand. It's a difficult tightrope to walk. On one hand, everybody should be able to fucking take a crap in peace and not feel threatened while doing so. The issue is whose need to feel safe while pooping supersedes the other. Trans people have a right to poop in a bathroom they're comfortable in, and women should be able to poop in a bathroom where, theoretically somebody with male genitalia could come in there and make them feel uncomfortable. I mean, let's face it, this is an issue for primarily women. That's at least where the conversation is surrounding. Men, we don't really care that much about it. Walking a very narrow line, I think there are people who will clearly abuse the privilege of being able to pick which bathroom you can use, and as we'll shortly see here in a second. Taking it one step even further than that, though, in prisons, particularly in progressive states like California and Oregon, inmates have been exploiting this loophole in what should be an all-inclusive and encompassing thing, and claiming they are transgender and then, getting women pregnant, abusing them, even in rare cases sexually assaulting them. So, my personal opinion, we should, as a norm, have gender-blind bathrooms like single stall as much as possible wherever you can. And where not, we should strive to have a third option for people that are trans. I understand there are going to be situations where it's just not possible, and in those cases I would defer to a woman's right to feel safe. Take for example a girl who was abused by a man and might not feel comfortable changing or using a bathroom with someone with male genitalia. I would be pretty hard-pressed to not feel protective over a woman in that situation. Again, it's a difficult thing to navigate, but that's, without trying to piss too many people off, that's where I'll defer to.
Oh.
It depends.
Yes.
Yeah,
So I think that to start it off though too is it's not necessarily saying that trans women. It all comes down to self-ID. When we moved into a self-ID process, there are a lot of people, there are a lot of men just simply self-IDing into being trans women to utilize the female restroom and to harm women.
Or just be there. They're getting arousal from just being there.
There was a photo, or it was a video that went viral, I think just 2 weeks ago, with some whole man with a boner in the women's restroom. And there's just some poor woman filming it. Am I just supposed to accept that this is here? So I think there's levels to it. I think that trans women who are actually trans, we're talking gender dysphoria, transitions, making the effort, probably once you reach a certain point in your transition where you can actually assimilate within that space and not cause a disruptance, that would probably be the ideal time to start doing that, right? Whereas, a cross-dresser who is emboldened to, in this current climate, say that they're trans, because now anything is trans if you say so, that person should probably stay absolutely out of women's restrooms, because You're there to get your rocks off, and the women are there to take a poop and a pee. So it's not the same. And I really empathize with women who have an issue with it, and I can probably hear some women commenting, well, how do I know the difference between a fetishist and a real trans person? It's hard. It's hard. However, that's the only nuance that I know to give to it, which is there's different reasons people are trans, and some people really are trans because they're horny, and some people are trans because they really felt that way from, a young age or whatever.
Wow, that was pretty succinct. Hit all the points. I think she brings a lot of logic and thoughtfulness to clearly a sensitive topic. I can't imagine anyone having any kind of good retort to that. This girl's great. Her name is Blaire White. She's a very large creator in the trans space, so not that she needs any kind of shout-outs from me, but go check out her content if you liked what you just heard. She's got a great channel, and I really liked what she had to say, not only here, but throughout this whole video. She's going to be heavily featured throughout not just the original video, but also mine. She was largely involved in why this original video went viral, and kind of why I wanted to make this video, but, let's put a theoretical pin in that for the moment.
See, I agree to an extent. Like, when you go to transition, and this is a fairly universal experience, once you get to a certain point of passing, that's about the time that you would start going into the other bathroom as opposed to not make the same sex uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Once you reach that point in your transition, a lot of things change, but you start to see things from another perspective. You start to see things from the perspective of a cis person.
Yeah.
And I actually offer some solutions to this because I believe the free market can handle all of this stuff, because in government-run and government-funded buildings, there should always be a third space for us to use. And I do. When I go to the Capitol and stuff like that, I always use third spaces. But I think that private property owners can make the rules for their establishment and figure out how to enforce those rules.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say third spaces for trans
exactly.
people.
Like, we're in a state right now. We're in a state right now where you have to allow anybody to use whatever restroom they want.
If you're a decent human being, you do what causes the least disturbance. So, for example, I filmed a YouTube video a few years ago where I entered a men's restroom just because I was responding to comments who were like, well, maybe you should use a men's restroom if you really feel like the way you feel. And so I said, okay, let's do it. Let's put a camera. And I was kicked out within seconds of the entire establishment, and it was a whole ruckus. So that's what I mean by, if you're a decent person, you do what causes the least amount of problems for people around you. And if you're, a moral person, you're going to be conflict avoidant in general when it's something like that, right? It's like, what's the point of causing issues for anyone, especially if you're really just trying to pee,
just put
get
your
it
head
done.
down, go in, get out.
Right.
We as a society should be leaning into just minding our own fucking business as a baseline. If we all collectively just focused on minding our own and trying to avoid and de-escalate confrontation, we probably wouldn't even need to have these kind of conversations, because there wouldn't be extreme cases to point to as to why change is needed in the first place. It's like the old adage, right, of a few rotten apples spoiling the bunch. The problem is the spoiled apples have become really good at blending in with the good ones, and now we have to exert all this extra energy to snuffing them out, which led to us having to have this conversation to begin with. Like, just mind your own fucking business. Don't go looking for reasons to be upset and start a confrontation. So much of my inner psyche and daily life are just in service of avoiding conflict. It is fucking mind-boggling to see people who just live for a reason to be a victim or be angry. We'll see a few examples of that coming up, so just, sit tight.
Can the disagreeers please step forward?
I want to comment on Blaire's point.
Enter the primary focus of today's video, Blossom. And unlike her Powderpuff namesake, she is far from sugar spice and everything nice. She actually came into this debate with a lot of preconceived notions about this Blaire girl that I referenced earlier, and the conflict between these two will escalate into the motivation of not only why I wanted to make this video, but also a lot of backlash and criticism that Blossom is facing in the wake of it. She came into this debate with basically one agenda, and it was to take down the much larger creator, Blaire.
Getting there to set, like you, I was excited to debate Blaire because I knew people that could not stand her, and I knew I would be speaking for a lot of folks that she's harmed. I knew I would be that representation for not just me as a Black trans woman, but for all the trans and non-binary folks that she's harmed. Because I'm not gonna say they don't have, they just may not have the capacity to deal with her. And she's a lot.
So if Blossom is our theoretical villain, Blaire is surely the heroine of today's story, and unfortunately for our hero, the moderators and the people behind Jubilee seem to kind of more be on Blossom's side, which has led to a lot of unfavorable edits, letting a lot of these other people gang up on her, and in some cases even silencing Blaire. But, don't just take my word for it. We're going to get there. It gets pretty nasty.
The one thing I kept hearing through all of the nuance is passability. Because ultimately, when we talk about passability, it determines how you get harassed in the bathroom. Because honestly, if you don't look so passable or whatnot, people are going to say, oh, that's a man with a dress on, and then there's going to be discourse. But the reality of it is, honestly, who cares who's trans and who's cis going in the bathroom? You should be minding your own business, being able to pee and do your business in peace, for the most part. That conversation around this man with a boner on or whatever like that, I saw that picture and I thought to myself, that's really a right-wing talking point and conservative propaganda, because that's their ideology.
How is it
when it comes to trans? I'm speaking.
Ooh, holy shit, we aren't even 10 minutes in and I'm already starting to get fucking worked up. That I'm speaking, it sparked such a wave of disgust in my tiny squirrel brain. Like, the blind assumption that what you have to say is so important that everyone else needs to stop and bow and put their heads down and revel in the opinions of the great Queen Blossom. It can only be derived from someone who is just clearly self-obsessed. You're in a fucking debate. Almost quite literally a talk circle. There's gonna be fucking crosstalk and people fucking interrupting each other. Why is your opinion worth more or less than anyone else's? Oh my fucking god, it's disgusting. But beyond that, let's address her claims that this situation of a predator in a bathroom, photographed with an erection, was somehow staged by the quote-unquote right wing. Oh man, it's disgusting. The irony being that while she is calling it fake and propaganda, she's basing these opinions on nothing, no evidence, and unknowingly peddling her own biased opinions as fact. Ipso facto, creating propaganda in the process. How fucking deluded do you have to be in one side of your mouth to claim a borderline sexual assault is propaganda, meanwhile pushing said message as actual propaganda? Good God, this woman sucks so hard, but trust me when I say, it gets 1,000 times worse.
That's their ideology when it comes to trans, is because conservatives have a basic level understanding of what transness is in the first place. And with all due respect, I do not think any of you are basic, but they use you as the baseline to amplifying this propaganda.
How is it propaganda if it's a thing that really happened? It was caught on video. Like, it was an actual occurrence. It wasn't staged. It happened. And that's not the only, it's not an isolated incident.
But that's not enough for me to say, because actors can do that. What? Who knows? They could have been an actor trying to make a point against trans people. But this has always been our battle. It's just like, from what I just heard you were saying with your talking points, because I did understand what you were saying. I just got the word passability out of there, and
which I didn't say that word at all.
No, I'm saying that word.
He said passability.
I'm saying
she didn't say it. He did. And the problem, the left.
Okay, I can't. I couldn't hear. I just couldn't hear back there.
The
liberals, what I was saying was,
liberals always use the.
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying you said that word. What I was getting out of what you were saying, the one word that was coming to me was passability. This is Blossom saying it. And so passability politics is really a thing in our trans community, especially when we come to the debate of restrooms.
Well, you can say it's politics, but actually it's just real life, right? It's just about where you're able to assimilate to and where you're not. And I think one of the biggest problems in the trans community is the community by and large has seemed to reject assimilation and seems hell-bent on...
That's not true.
I think it's absolutely true.
So I think what we are seeing here is fundamentally two different viewpoints of the world as a whole. One side is seeing a challenge and is coming up with a solution. The other is seeing a challenge and creating conflict. One is searching to find middle ground, and the other is looking to disrupt foundation. One side is looking for us to come together as a society and the other is looking to divide us apart. Just something to think about. As an outsider, that's how I see it.
Which is, you see people talking about how you don't need to work on your transition at all to enter women's restrooms. And I think that that is so selfish.
That drives me crazy.
It's so disregarding of women who may or may not feel uncomfortable.
But the trans woman experience is not monolithic. So who are we to police transness? Why are we policing other people's transness and how they show up?
We have to protect women.
Why are y'all policing though? That's what I don't understand.
Because you're using words that we're not using. It's not policing. We're listening to women. And if you have 50%, we won't say 50%, but if you have a large chunk of the population of women saying that they are uncomfortable with a certain thing, a good person leans in and listens.
So why
they don't
are you
just
not
reject
listening to
it.
other trans women, Blaire?
I
think
do
that's,
all day. I am right now.
But you didn't, and I'm not trying to be combative or whatever like that. I'm just trying to figure out, you know what I'm saying, what the middle ground would be between you and I, because you said one side and that's great, but what about the side of trans women? If we're not bringing both sides into this conversation,
here's what I would say
then it is unbalanced.
Here's what I would say then, because I do understand both sides. I didn't, I'm almost a decade into my transition, which means I was one time a year in, 6 months in, 2 months in. So I understand that, but I also knew at the very beginning of my transition that if I'm not at a place physically where I'm not making people feel uncomfortable, or I'm making people uncomfortable, then that's on me. That's my responsibility to make sure that I'm going places a certain way to make sure that they're comfortable.
Because it's for your safety also too, right?
Well,
would you also say that you're safe? Your safety
I know that
plays a part.
You seem to be looking at through the lens of always trans being the priority. I'm looking at it through the lens of women being the priority here. There's plenty of situations.
Why? I just want to know
because
why
it's them who would
that.
fall victim to not actual trans women, as I said, but people posing as trans women. People who are
but trans women are also victims of that as well.
I'm sorry. I would love it if the two of you have said your piece, and I would love to hear.
Yeah, I just want to make this point.
Oh, thank God somebody stepped in to shut her up. Fucking spoiler alert. She won't stop talking. Oh, God, this girl Blossom is just up her ass so much. She loves the sound of her own voice. And for someone who got so pressed earlier about people interrupting her, she sure is fucking skilled at talking over others and cutting them off. That's a learned skill. Like, you don't just get that way overnight. It's clear that this is a person who has weaponized not only her gender, but her sexual identity and her race. She weaponizes these things to basically shut down everyone around her. So everyone in her life, the second she's faced with any type of conflict, she just immediately throws up one of those cards, and everyone in her life is just backed down. And so when pressed or confronted, she either gets offended or she just talks louder. Ugh. And again, like, she is so self-obsessed, she fails to see the irony in fighting so hard for trans women. She's actively silencing other trans women right in front of her own fucking face. God damn, she sucks.
I just want to make this point as well, but trans women also experience violence and also need that protection. And so that's the thing.
No doubt.
Like, it should be an even playing field. I'm not saying you're wrong, but what I'm saying is I would like to challenge you to expand to make sure you're being inclusive of both sides or whatever, because we have to have these important conversations between cis women and trans women. And, I'm just going to say, and I'm not going to just say cis women, I'm going to say women, biological women.
But it's not talking.
And I want to make it inclusive of everyone.
I think the middle ground, though, is, and I feel like I'm not coming at this from an extreme place. I feel like an extreme place would be like no trans women in the bathroom ever. That's the extreme position. I'm saying work on your transition, take it as your responsibility, and be respectful. And that's the middle ground, right?
This is a self-preservation issue, right? So if somebody's in the bathroom and they have a boner, that looks bad on all of us. And when people, when our community's not calling that out and not saying that this is wrong.
How many, I'm just, to your point, how many cases has that occurred?
It happens a lot. We see it's happening all the time.
No, I
there are Twitter accounts.
I'm sorry, because I just want to make sure the back and forth goes everywhere.
I mean, there's Twitter accounts with millions of followers that show this stuff multiple times a day.
Okay, now I know what we're talking about.
And so we're showing that these types of things do actually cause harm to trans people. So if you're looking at it at a trans lens and to say, what are we doing? We need to combat that stuff and come together to combat that stuff.
It does not encompass the entire trans experience.
No,
and
you're
that's
right.
all I just want to say.
Yeah, I think I see a lot of different points from everybody here. Honestly, like, I can understand like how some women may feel unsafe with men in the restroom. Men. When I say men, I mean men. I'm not talking about trans women. So being a non-binary person that sometimes has the choice to either go into a men's restroom looking like this, you can look at me, looking like this.
It's just interesting. I thought this was a trans debate. That's what I
don't
thought.
even.
Non-binary people
I will
fall
follow
under the trans
umbrella.
No, they don't.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe you could educate yourself a little bit on that.
I think I
and
could
maybe
educate
then you would figure out.
I think I could educate
you know what the reality is.
I'm
and what
sure
trans
there's
actually
a
means.
non-binary Jubilee episode.
Wow.
Well, because it's not a debate about who is really trans and who is not.
It can be.
We're talking.
The sass. Oh, I love it. I don't know if I'm the only one who's got this either, but all the faces and like side eyes that this girl is making through just the fucking darkest of shade. That's great. I mean, even though I kind of fundamentally disagree with her on this point, like, I mean, people who are not, you know, what do they call it, non-binary, they're trans too. They're part of that community. But I am definitely here for the fucking sass, let me tell you. And to be fair, Jubilee kind of did her dirty. I do have to interject about this point because Blaire's attitude is not just like coming out of left field. Jubilee did some fucking theatrical edits with this video. They're more creative than fucking Spielberg. In the prompts before this, which we're going to get to next, Blossom and Alexandra here completely ganged up and started bombarding Blaire in some really deplorable and disgusting ways, which eventually devolved into fucking threats of physical violence. Actually, you know what? Here, let's check out Blaire's account of how this all happened firsthand. Check this out.
It is a safety concern for trans women to share.
It's not looking up. This is already edited wrong. This is not chronological order. This was not the first prompt. The first prompt was trans military, and that's the prompt that the libs derailed and made it about 2 minutes in before making intense personal attacks at me, spit roasting me, double teaming me, and deliberating the validity of my career, and went on and on and on with the moderator not stepping in at all for a while. So this is already not in order, and I wanted that to be true to time because it gives context for why I lose my mind in this debate, and I do come across as so intense and so combative in this debate. I just knew that if they don't have that derailment in the beginning, at the beginning of the video, it's going to look like I went nuts for no reason and not because they jumped into it attacking me.
I think it's very discriminatory to keep trans people out of the military. We pay our bills here, we pay our taxes here, we are Americans, we deserve to serve this country as well. However, you all did raise some great points about the concern and safety of trans people. And I do agree that something does need to be done about that to protect us. Who's protecting us in the military? Who is?
I mean, if you're even diagnosed with like mild social anxiety, you're not eligible to enter the military. If you have like a crooked left, pinky toe, you're not eligible. So discriminatory, I mean, that word sounds pretty in today's climate, very much like, oh no, discrimination, but it's not always bad. Sometimes for the safety, and it's like, when it comes to the military and when it comes to keeping America safe, that has priority over anyone's feelings.
Discrimination is discrimination, and I don't think there's
not always
any
a negative
other way
thing,
around
though.
it.
Okay, so I don't really have much of an opinion about this one. I also don't know enough about the band to really comment on it educatedly, but if you're able to do all the things asked of you, power to you. Fight for our country. More meat for the grinder as far as I'm concerned. I couldn't give a shit less what kind or what shape said meat is being fed into said grinder. So, on its principle, I would disagree with the ban. However, if they're not able to do what's asked of them because of drugs or mental illnesses or XYZ, whether indirectly or not, as a result of their transitioning, that's not discriminatory. You're just not fit for the job. That's not discrimination. If anything, allowing a trans soldier special leniencies simply because they're a trans soldier actually is discriminatory. It's discriminatory against the non-trans soldiers that could have qualified, that would have been given special accommodations due to their said gender or sexual orientation. That's the opposite of what you're saying. Stupid.
Well, it's still discrimination.
That doesn't mean it's negative, though.
Our troops over there, while they're over there, you're talking about, or protect them before so they can get in.
It is important to protect all trans people in the military.
Well, we can't waste
And so what if the best way to protect them
protecting
is not putting them in the Middle East with Muslims that are going to kill them?
Well, I just want to interject your point about suicide. So as somebody who has worked in community service with community members directly, a lot of their suicide issues actually revolve around access to finances. And the military is one of the highest employers of transgender people. So we actually see the suicide rate drop. And for me
that's a
personally—
good point, but it's one of the highest employers of anybody.
But if you're suicidal and you go into a job that has a high likelihood of PTSD, causing PTSD and all these other issues, then it becomes a big issue, because then you already have one mental illness, and then you're compounding it with more.
And when you're on, a very strict regimen of, if you're trans and if you're really trans, and we can get into who's really trans later, because I'm gonna have a lot to say about that. But if you're gonna be on hormones, right? You're not always going to have access to those drugs when you're deployed and when you're in those situations. That's why I say, if you're, a line cook or something, if you're whatever, that's one thing. But if we're talking about combat, you're not exactly going to have access to your testosterone blockers and your estrogen.
How do you know that? Because medical
they
care
don't have
is
those kind of
covered
pharmacies in the Middle East.
Medical care is covered in the military, so they should have access to that. So that is false information.
I don't think Blossom has any idea what she's talking about. I don't have anything to base that on. I got no facts to back that up. Just a gut feeling. But Blaire, she talks about this stuff very calmly. She speaks with purpose. And although I find some of her opinions on non-binary is pretty problematic, it's clear she's done her homework and knows her shit. Blossom over here, I don't think she has a fucking clue if a soldier is allowed to take testosterone or hormone blockers or whatever overseas or otherwise. So for her to sit up there and tout misinformation is just so fucking falsely pompous and arrogant. Just part of this overall theme of self-centeredness and just need to dominate every room she walks into, including this conversation.
And also, you guys are forgetting the fact, well, hold on. You guys have all forgotten the fact of what is the flip side for these transgender individuals that are signing up for the military and they're taken out, and that was their life plan. Where are they supposed to work and where is their employment supposed to be? Because the mental illness that happens through homelessness and the lack of resources that come. So that is also the flip side of that. So if folks don't have, hold on one second, but if they don't have access to a job that could offer them support and research and access to medication, access to benefits, lifetime benefits, that's something that most transgender people in any sector of any job—
So do you want an answer to your question, or are you just going to rant? Because I can answer, you said, what about those people that were kicked out? I actually think it's bad if you are someone who was in it and you really are, because just like, Sarah, and I've met many trans veterans that I've paid respect to publicly on social media, and I think that's amazing, actually. So if you're kicked out and it was once, the norm that you could—
what's the resources you're offering them?
I'm speaking, though. If you're kicked out and it once was the norm for you to participate in the military, that's sad. But at the same time, if that is what is determined for the ultimate safety and effectiveness of the military, nothing should come before that.
Blaire, have you ever worked directly with trans people?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Have you ever worked directly—
I am right now.
No,
We're
directly
surrounded by
in
them.
services in terms of nonprofits and actually getting clientele.
She's not
That's
grassroots.
my entire career.
She is not a grassroots person, because truth be told, a lot of our
What does that
community
even mean?
is in grassroots.
Have you ever had a
Nonprofit
client list of
organizations that are
transgender people that you
trans-led.
actually took care of?
Hold on just a second.
Took care of them, like paid their bills? No, I don't
Offering them services, getting them through services.
I've helped a lot of trans people in my life,
Trans-led
yes.
organizations that are ran by trans people. I really want to see what you've done for those organizations, because I don't see any of y'all on the front line.
Oh, no, you fucking didn't! Oh my good God, the condescending tone and the indignance? Mother of God! Oh, and that fucking demeaning smile looks like something out of a horror film. So, for those of you who need context, Blaire has millions of subscribers. What they are basically saying is that Blaire has no ground to stand on for this conversation because she doesn't do quote-unquote social work like they do. She's not grassroots. She's not on the front lines. That is the fucking dumbest argument I have ever heard. Good God. As if her reach and her ability to advocate for trans people is diminished in any way because she's not doing quote-unquote social work. She reaches millions of people every month, probably. Whereas these people are, and granted, what they're doing is great, but don't come in and start diminishing someone else's fucking shit. Like, you're reaching maybe, 20, 30 people a month. She's reaching fucking millions. The arrogance is fucking despicable. And to talk down and demean her? Frankly, her career is unbelievable. She has reached the precipice that all of these other people could only dream of reaching. She's basically the PewDiePie of trans women. They're the mom and pop, she the corporation. They're the fucking press conference, Blaire's the conversation. Like, get the fuck out of here with this nonsensical argument coming from such a nasty fucking place for people that spout to be inclusive and all-encompassing and kind and all this crap. They sure are fucking judgmental when pressed. Holy shit.
I'm on
the front line. Like, what are you
the-
talking about? I've dedicated,
hold
hold on. I've dedicated my entire life to, in my own way, and you can disagree with it because we all have our vehicles and our methods towards promoting trans acceptance and the ultimate progression of the quality of life of trans people. I've dedicated my entire life to that, right? I access millions of people every single month on all my social media. And I have people reaching out all the time saying that I've saved them from, just like we mentioned, suicide.
What are you
physically doing? That is the point.
Have you ever taken on a client loan? Have you ever had someone come to you homeless and give them resources?
I'm sure you guys feel very, you guys are asking questions and you have no interest in the answer. I'm sure you guys are very, very proud of the fact that you can walk.
Because you're going around in circles, Blaire. That's what we're saying.
How could it be a circle when I haven't answered the question at all because you keep speaking? I'm sure you guys are very proud that you can enter a building and work with 25 people at a time. I access millions every month, babe. That's what I do.
It's really disappointing that you would ever equate community service.
This is disappointing, actually.
This is very disappointing.
It's disappointing that you.
This is disappointing. This is disappointing. I'm disappointed. No, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in infinity. It's kind of funny seeing these people devolved and fucking eat each other like the sharks they are. Everyone here is just so ready and willing to fucking victimize themselves. It's become a standoff for who can socially grandstand the furthest. Be better. You be better. I am better. No, I'm better. Well, I'm better. No, you all fucking suck, actually. Shut up.
Respect all of the people that are in community service and all of these social workers that actually do help trans people.
And it's really disappointing that you guys are disrespecting what the fuck I do, right?
When you say something about what is grassroots, that's the problem that I feel that some trans
you're using a
influencers
metaphor
are disconnected.
for something that's
that is not a
They're
metaphor.
Speak in platitudes
that is
the
a
whole time.
tangible
That's what
resource organization. Because if you, this is where y'all's privilege come in. Because if y'all don't need services,
my content
trans,
is a resource.
If you do not need
First
services
of all, ma'am,
from
don't come from my
nonprofits
privilege.
that are trans-led, you have
I was raised by
privilege
drug
and you
addicts.
have
I have HIV.
I'm sorry. I create the resources.
I would rather
I create
work
the
with
resources. My content
detransitioners
is a
than
resource.
people. So we're going to work with detransitioners who actually need our help.
But we're not talking about military.
Oh my God.
Another one, but I'm gonna give you one more chance.
It's the condescension for me, you know.
Yeah, really though, the condescension is fucking palpable and gross.
I will take a step back and let other people have an
I
opinion.
feel like so like Blaire said, like when you want to go into the military, like they gotta like check you out and like are you fit to go into the military, whatever. For that reason, I don't feel like a ban on trans people in the military is necessary because I feel like who's ready to go to combat and who's ready to go in, like they'll get in. I think there are people who are like able to do that, maybe people who aren't. And I feel like that will be determined without just a ban across the board. And yeah.
So it wasn't actually a full ban though. That's what people don't realize, okay? So
you can still enlist.
Nobody got kicked out of the military. They didn't kick a single person out of the military who came forward and had gender dysphoria. 2, it was actually easy. It's more open to serve under the ban than it was under Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Yeah.
Okay? So you could actually be a trans person and present however you wanted off duty. You could go to a ball in a dress and nobody cared and they couldn't kick you out. And serving in the military, it's not a right. They can disqualify you for any reason, physical, anything. People get kicked out all the time because they can't pass PT tests.
Right.
Yes, thank you. And that's an important distinction here that I just want to take a second and acknowledge that I think a lot of these people might be missing. Just like when you go to school or when you go to prison, you give up certain rights. Being in the military is not a right. It's a job. Some may even say a privilege. So to sit here and to claim discrimination, it's not just nonsensical. It's coming from a place of entitlement in a system they don't fully understand.
And overseas, yeah, you don't necessarily have access to refrigerators for your testosterone or any of that other stuff. So if you're taking injections, it's a lot different.
I'm supposed to refrigerate it?
I don't know. I don't take
And
testosterone.
that's going to melt in the Middle
Hormones
Eastern
are always-
sun. Believe that.
Hormones are
That
not
estradiol is going to be
Female
blue
hormones
goo.
are not always refrigerated. Let's just make that clear.
Well, my concern would be that, like, who's joining the military not to serve in the country, but only to get the cheaper drugs and the paid-for surgery. And I don't want that trans person defending
who's
our
joining the
country.
military because they got a woman pregnant and they just need to pay their bills. There's so many different reasons why people join the military.
I want dedicated
there are easier
I want
ways to get
dedicated people that want to defend the country that I live in.
There are
and
easier
protect
ways to get drugs.
us.
There are easier ways to get drugs, and to join the military, that's a big commitment to
Let's
get
just
drugs.
put it this way. There are
to
far
join.
less
for high school too,
debilitating
or
things that will
education.
disqualify you from access to the military than trans. And if you want to put it on a scale, trans is one of those things that for a lot of people is quite debilitating, whether it's mentally, physically, whatever. If you have, you know, social anxiety, if you have depression, any of these things that are less mentally taxing than gender dysphoria, all those things, then why is it that we should have like a go around because we're trans? I go with what the generals say. I go with what the people at the top say. This is what is the most effective way to have our military.
Just not General Milley.
I just really hope that the people at the
No,
top
not
that
him.
you're,
You know what I mean?
just
It's
really
levels
hope
to
that
that
the people,
too.
I just really hope that the people at the top that you're referring to aren't transphobic, because let's be clear of the isms that are in the military.
Man, we live
that
in
a lot of us
America.
face.
People are allowed
Excuse me,
to
I'm
be.
speaking. Do not interrupt a black trans woman when she's speaking.
Oh my good God! Jesus fucking Christ! To assume that because of your race or your gender, your opinion is somehow worth more than someone else's? That's discriminatory! The amount of contradictory statements this bitch just tosses out there so willy-nilly is unfucking fathomable. And the way she simultaneously pronounces herself a victim, all the while talking down and seeing others as less than, is fucking, it's hypocritical, it's deplorable. She herself is all of the things she so passionately appears to be against. That doesn't make you a trans warrior, it makes you full of shit. And an egotistical piece of shit at that. Between the belittling of Blaire's career and the incessant self-aggrandizing to the non-stop interruptions and talking over, and then for her to get this pressed over someone else interrupting her? I'm running out of ways to describe how much I fucking detest this person. I am in my soul. I find it so completely reprehensible. Everything I have stood for my entire life, working hard, keeping your head down, building others up, being kind and empathetic, it runs so completely in the face of and against what this woman is and stands for. I think she may be my supervillain. I've been up here popping off on Daryl Brooks. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new fucking contender.
People are allowed
Excuse me,
to
I'm
be.
speaking. Do not interrupt a black trans woman when she's speaking.
You've
Let's be
interrupted
very
me
clear
hella
when it comes
times.
to when it
Hella
comes
times.
to isms.
Did the interrupter just say
if you
use
are
her
black,
skin tone
if
to
you
say
are
you couldn't
black,
interrupt her?
If you are black and
That's
trans
amazing.
and you want to go into the military, I am quite sure that my experience would not look the same as y'all's. And if we can't wake that up, then we're really being complicit.
They don't look at your race.
I don't think your
But
skin tone makes any difference.
Well,
As somebody,
yes, it does. Well,
as
but it
somebody,
doesn't.
no, as somebody who's
But it
served in the
doesn't.
military,
For you to
as
tell a
somebody who-
black person that is so
as somebody who's
problematic,
something-
for you
So
to
why
tell
do
a
you have
person
to
of
put
color
black in
here,
front of it?
because this is my experience and this is my reality. First of all,
It has nothing
that
to
is
do
so
with your transness,
disrespectful
though.
to tell a person
I'm
of
gonna have an
color,
aneurysm.
a black person, how they should feel. How dare you sit up there
Okay,
and
well,
say
no,
that?
How did race get brought into this? Who said anything about the color of someone's skin? What does that have to do with anything they are talking about? These are logical questions that someone like Blossom, who lives under the fallacy of our own bullshit, is not prepared nor mentally capable of answering. So let's just move on. I'm done.
It's disrespectful
as
for
somebody
you to tell
who's
a white
trying-
person
hold on
that.
just a
You
second. Let me
screamed
finish
at
my
him
point.
and used
I
your
did not
skin.
scream
Yes,
at a
you
point.
did.
No,
No, you're
wanted
being
to come and come
disrespectful.
back.
Rewind the tape,
You
you
wanted me
screamed.
here and I'm
You
here.
screamed.
So what you
Rewind
gonna
the
do?
tape, that was good.
You wanted me here, so I'm here.
Unfortunately for all of us,
You in
Right,
particular.
we just
so
want
be
you to calm
respectful.
down and speak like
Be
a
in
white person.
particular, what are you talking about?
It's not my fault that y'all don't understand respect.
Let's pause.
You're
Oh
interrupting
my God.
Can you please stop?
Okay.
We're good.
You need to calm down.
No, you
We're
do,
gonna
honey.
change the rules.
My God, someone get a Xanax for her.
Oh,
rules
keep
are,
it
let's-
cute, girl. Keep it real cute.
Oh,
Your
that's
bodyguard's
inappropriate,
outside,
but the rest
keep
of
it
shit
real
isn't.
cute now.
Okay.
okay, and there it is. Physical violence has now entered the chat. Oh, what do stupid people do when they can't get their way? What do narcissists do when they fucking have reached the end of their rope? Resort to physical violence. You know, I almost could have called it, but I figured, you know, most of them are women. They've all been, you know, subjectified to probably their own individual traumas. There's no way this will degrade into violence. How fucking wrong was I? I'm curious. What was her recollection of all this? Because I've gone through the comments and she got fucking roasted. People can't stand this girl. Rightfully so. So what's her take on this whole thing? What does her side of this story look like?
Blaire White lied and said that I threatened her on set.
Keep it cute, girl. Keep it real cute.
Oh, that's inappropriate, but the rest of shit isn't. Okay.
What you gonna do? You wanted me here, so I'm here. You in particular.
What are you talking about?
I'm the only black person on this set, and I don't feel safe.
Bro. Bro. Is she colorblind or just stupid? Blaire! The girl you were threatening! She's not fucking white, you moron! And you don't feel safe? You were the only one threatening violence! Not to mention you're about a foot taller than everyone else! Oh my god! I'm fucking losing my voice, I'm yelling so much! I'm sorry, it's just the stupidity runs so deep in this one. It's the perfect symmetry of victimhood and idiocracy to just, like, really pinprick a certain part of my brain. It has just got me fucking tilted, let me tell you. I don't need to tell you. You've seen the video thus far. Came out of my squirrel hole for the first time in months. I'm going right back in. I'm fucking done. Shut down the YouTube channel, batten down the hatches. I can't take it! Baby's gonna lose his fucking mind over here!
So, I think something happened this weekend, if I'm sure.
I think we want to debate.
Allegedly,
we are the winners of, let's see, a debate called Jubilee Middle Ground, Trans Conservatives versus Trans Liberals.
Whoa. You won the debate? Fucking revisionist history at its finest. What debate are you talking about? Because from what I saw, y'all got pressed and heated and went low, and the conservatives, they fucking bashed y'all theoretical brains in without resorting to your level. So for those who can't tell, the other two members of this podcast were the other two liberal members in the Jubilee video. So I guess they're kind of rehashing what happened here and kind of responding to some of the controversies. They must know that they were getting just roasted. You know what? Just for S&Gs, let's go to the comments and let's see what the internet has to say, just so you guys have some context for all this, because they did not win this debate. That's for damn sure. All right. Do not interrupt a black trans woman when she is speaking, says the person who interrupted everyone else and was always condescending. Oof. Let's see here. Blossom thinks people treat her badly because of her skin color. Honey, it's you. It's your personality. As a black person, I really cringe when black people use race to excuse their bad behavior and double standards. Don't interrupt a black trans woman, but she's been interrupting everyone. Yeah, really. Using your race as an excuse to be belligerent racist is a new low. She should transition into a better person. This lady is praising Blaire. Yeah, Blaire makes so much sense. Trying to argue over a veteran. So Blossom says adults don't even know what they want, and in the same breath, let's not underestimate these kids. So if adults can't even make up their minds, how can children? As a liberal, this was a definite embarrassment for trans liberals. Y'all literally said nothing persuasive. It was all just subjective, personal arguments, or just straight up incoherent. I literally hate that Blossom can interrupt anyone, but no one can interrupt her. I feel like Blaire was being silenced. I noticed she spoke less and less. Yeah, they literally silenced her. We'll get into that in a second. I love how as soon as Blossom sat down, she wanted to address what Blaire, she's obsessed. As a black person, I can say that Blossom isn't... It's your personality, girl. So, yeah, as you can see, everyone is just hating on Blossom here and just showering Blaire with praise. I mean, Jubilee was definitely on the side of the liberals. I don't think that's a secret at this point. I won't have time to get in this video all of it, but Blaire does a whole breakdown of her experience and then responds to some of the lies Blossom and her cronies kind of throw it here in this podcast. I'll link those in the description if you guys want to go down this rabbit hole like I did. But, long story short, Jubilee liked the narrative that the liberal side had, so they basically set up Blaire to be attacked. They edited in the liberal side's favor. They cut out large sections where Blaire made sound points, even going so far to literally silence her. They cut off her microphone and even forced her to be quiet while they gave Blossom this, cringy mic drop moment at the end. It's so bad, I'm not even going to give it credence by showing it, but, it's out there. You can find it. So, long story short, I'm not alone in how I feel, I don't think. I mean, let me know in the comments if you disagree. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts, but for them to say they won the debate, nah. That's just a flat-out lie. Lie number one.
I got a call from one of the producers wanting me to be a part of this episode or whatever. And when they told me what the name of it was, I was like, okay, Blaire is probably behind this, because I didn't realize you can go and pitch episodes to them. And so what I am a firm believer is she went and she pitched that episode, and I think it was intentional on the casting.
Dude, you think that Blaire has the power to control what Jubilee does or doesn't post? They fucking hate her. They were so favorable to your side, it borderline violates journalistic integrity. Get out of here with this shit. That comment was right. This bitch is obsessed with Blaire. This is sad, man.
First of all, to say I was behind it, invoking some sort of situation that doesn't exist, that anything was set up against you, is nuts. It's clear to everyone who lived it that it was stacked in your favor in totality, both during production and editing. To say I was behind it is weird. And then to be so confident that I pitched the episode when you have no reason to believe that, because the fact is I did not. They came to me with the episode idea after months and months of them pitching other episodes to me. It was the second or third debate this year they've asked me to be part of. And this one made sense for me, obviously, it's my brand. So for you to either believe within yourself that I pitched it, or believe that that's a lie worth telling somehow, it's just weird. It's a weird lie. Weird.
Getting there to set, like you, I was excited to debate Blaire because I knew people that could not stand her. And I knew I would be speaking for a lot of folks that she's harmed. I knew I would be that representation for not just me as a Black trans woman, but for all the trans and non-binary folks that she's harmed. Because I'm not going to say they just may not have the capacity to deal with her. And she's a lot. She was so combative. She was so unprofessional. She was so disrespectful. She had an agenda.
She had an agenda? You literally just admitted you came into the fucking debate in bad faith and felt like you were speaking for everyone she had offended. Don't get it fucking twisted. You thought you were gonna come in here like trans woman Batman and avenge all the weak and downtrodden trans community and go right for Blaire's throat. And then when she came correct with facts and evidence, you went low. You insulted her. You guys ganged up. And when that didn't work, what'd you do? You played race and you threatened her with violence. Just like all fucking manipulative, narcissist fucking assholes do. Like, we're seeing how a narcissistic brain works in real time. The mental gymnastics she is struggling to get through to make herself the victim and spin the story in her favor. You know, she's standing up for all of Blaire's victims, but at the same time, she didn't feel safe and she felt attacked. Like, Jesus. It's bullshit. All of it. She's contradictory. She's lying. She's manipulative. Like, revisionist history. I don't know if it's delusion or if this is on purpose, but either way, everything that comes out of this woman's mouth is bullshit.
And you all were there during the taping of this. She did call me ugly.
What? When the fuck did that happen? Did I miss something? Wait. What?
While we were filming, they did edit it out. And I'm actually glad they did. And I'll tell you why. Long story short or whatnot, things got heated. I was like, yeah, keep it cute, keep it cute. She was like, yeah, you keep it cute because you're ugly. And in that moment, I got triggered.
Dude, we saw that whole clip. Like, there was no cuts. There was no jumps. There was no... We saw the whole thing. Jubilee, they might be fucking creative, like the fucking Steven Spielberg of fucking debate videos on YouTube, but you can't just take out audio like that, like when we saw the entire clip play out. I think she's lying. I'm gonna see what Blaire had to say about this. Like, I think this is bullshit.
Lie. Lie. A very strange lie that, again, I can't even begin to process where it came from within you. Please take note of something in this video. Look at Alexander's facial reaction to Blossom saying what Blossom said. He is literally scanning the ceiling, looking confused, clearly trying to rack his brain about when that happened, because he can't remember it himself. That is clear what's happening right there. Anyone who can read a face, it's like, that's what you do when you're like racking your brain like, wait, when was that? Right. Is there anyone who believes, after watching that debate, watching how stacked in your favor the editing was, the production on set was, is there anyone who thinks that if I called you ugly, that would be edited out? No one called you ugly. Your behavior was absolutely ugly. But notice how she says that I called her ugly after she said keep it on cute, which is the thing that directly results in her making her violent threat.
Oh, keep it cute, girl. Keep it real cute.
Oh, that's inappropriate, but the rest of shit isn't. Okay. So it's also a very convenient lie to insert that I called you ugly right before you violently threatened me, because it definitely does work in your favor that maybe I said something so incendiary that it would take you there to make a violent threat, even though it still wouldn't be excusable, right? Disgusting still.
Man, I'm running out of words at this point. My disgust for this person, I don't think it can sink any lower. So after all that, the despicable display, she's now joined her cohorts to not only dish and gossip and shit talk the girl y'all ganged up on, but she's even going as far as to spread misinformation and not only make Blaire look bad, but to excuse your disgusting behavior. Just a vile, vile person.
I got back to my room. Well, before I got to my room, my sister Shar, I was passing her, and she was like, Blossom, what's wrong? And, I had told her that Blaire had called me ugly. So when I got back in my room, that's when I broke down and I started crying. I started crying because I had never felt so disrespected by somebody that was just so unprofessional.
What are you even on about? She was completely professional. She stayed calm and composed the entire time. You three were the despicable ones. And to tell your sister that same lie? Like, who are you trying to convince? Her or you? Then you proceed to go up to your room and cry? That is fucked up on multiple levels, whether it's true or not. On one hand, the way you projected this hostile energy interrupted everyone you came in contact with on that set, and then go back to your hotel room and break down? How do you even exist with those levels of volatility going on inside? Like, regardless of whether or not you actually cried or this is just more bullshit, own your fucking feelings. Don't be a slave to them. You're getting so worked up you're threatening others, interrupting them, and then proceeding to let that energy fuck you up so hard you have to go back and break down afterwards? Get your fucking shit together. And then we have scenario B, which is honestly the more likely, is that she didn't go back and cry. She's just furthering this slanderous bullshit. She's throwing anything she can at the wall to hope something sticks, to take someone down you physically threatened. Honestly, Blossom, I hope you see this. I hope you see this, and you really look inward and, do some internal work. I don't care. I make my bones roasting shitty people on the internet. I'm a fucking shit-talking squirrel. This is what I do. Alright, I may get pressed, but, this is my job. And quite frankly, you, Blossom, you are gonna be my magnum fucking opus.
You know how long I've been waiting for this? Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
Because you're ugly. And in that moment, I got triggered.
Oh my god, I literally forgot. The thing of her calling her ugly was a lie. So you're lying that she called you ugly, you're lying to your sister about it, and then you're lying that you went back to your hotel room to break down. That's obviously a lie, because it never fucking happened. Jeez, I'm literally losing track because there's so many. Just like regular liars, when they lie so much they can't keep track, I can't keep track of all of fucking her lies now.
And I sat there because I've looked at this girl's platform. And she has a racist following. A lot of her followers are racist.
It seems like it. Yeah.
They're very prejudiced. They're very racist. They're very transphobic.
Dude, what? She's a fucking non-white trans woman. Minority trans girl is racist and transphobic. You know that old chestnut about when you're in a hole, stop digging? This bitch brought a fucking excavator down that hole with her. She's straight fossil hunting up in here. She's like drilling for oil, making her way to the molten core. She's on her way to fucking China. Golly.
Because what conservatives like to say about me is I'm angry, I'm upset, and because of my statue, they're trying to say I'm very threatening, and I'm not.
So what you going to do? You in particular, keep it cute, girl. Keep it real cute. Your bodyguard's outside, but keep it real cute now.
In the video, I set her up for the perfect blow up when I talked about how my blackness should not pay for your whiteness that's destroying my community.
So she's referring to that mic drop moment that Jubilee fabricated. I'm going to let Blaire take over and kind of explain her side of that whole experience. Whether or not that's true, you can decide for yourselves, but I figure it's important to add context to get both sides of the story. So we'll listen to what Blaire has to say, see the clip, and then we'll probably wrap that up from there.
So, you are gloating about an artificial, production coordinated mic drop moment of yours. A fake mic drop moment.
My blackness should not have to pay for your whiteness that
doesn't make sense.
Is destroying my community.
I'm destroying your community.
So are you going to tell all of my exes
How are you going
that?
to say that and then that's the end? So you shut me up when in reality it was production shutting me up by forcing the prompt to end. I mean, it's very telling of how you probably deep down somewhere within you really feel about your performance in that debate, that the standout moment that you are gloating about is one that you didn't actually even do, that you only achieved based on production setting it up. I mean,
Blaire had lied on me and said that I threatened her.
Yes, I wanted to talk about that as well.
And I definitely need to talk about that because my safety was in jeopardy at one point because of her lying.
Yeah.
And I will say, because I have mad receipts, Blaire White lied and said that I threatened her on set.
Blossom, honey, come on, bring it in, get close, come on. You lied. You're the liar. We all saw it, so just you can stop. God, I'm kind of like running out of steam at this point, guys. I can't keep this up anymore. This human trash compactor has lived rent-free in my little squirrel head all day today, and I really feel like I got out some of those frustrated feelings I kind of had bottled up. Hopefully we all had some laughs along the way, but like more importantly, one of the main reasons I wanted to make this video is I wanted to put the actual story out there, because like Blossom, her cohorts, and Jubilee, they would have you believe that Blaire is lying. They had this great debate where, the libs own the Republicans, and it's just false. Just flat out. In reality, a gross YouTube channel, Jubilee, gave a platform to a narcissistic, compulsive liar, in which she threatened another cast member. They did nothing. In fact, they aided her by favoring her in the edit, forcing Blaire to stop talking. They silenced her, and then gave said trash compactor an even bigger platform. So that's it. Like I said, I had to get this out there. I hope y'all had fun. I know I've been away for a while. Something in my soul was calling me to rip this doucher apart. So I had to get on. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. I really been working on myself lately. Alistair's been helping me with my nutrition and, going to the gym. I just been really busy, but I will try to get another upload out there soon. And we should be back to the podcast in this fall with regular uploads. He's on vacation right now. And I was on vacation for a while, but, hopefully we'll be back to the regular, your standard YouTube programming. But until then, thanks again so much for watching all the way through, and I will see you in the next one, all right? Bye, guys. Thanks again.